Welcome to episode number 108 of the BEBC
BS
Podcast. Thanks for being loud, guys, because it's a party of three.
We're channeling Nolan.
Channeling Nolan.
Yeah, be loud.
Oh, okay. Well, we've invited Westerberg to sit in this morning.
Hey, Tom.
And Skeletor's back.
Skelly.
Yeah,
Skelly.
Skelly's back. I mean, bodies are just falling left and right around here. Yeah. It's crazy. Crazy. Episode 108 of this nonsense we do every week during football season and then other times begins with game number 108 in the history of the Allen Eagle football program.
Gosh, are we going to go on and on with this? 108, ain't it great? Tried a new place for dinner last night, Portillo's. Anyway.
Whatever it is. And so when they announce your order number, they have to play Dr. Seuss and make it rhyme.
Yeah.
And so James
109, ain't it fine? Yeah.
108, ain't it great?
204, hit the floor?
Well, 108
wasn't
so great for the Allen Eagles. 1971, Game 2 against Whitewright. Think about that. Whitewright. Resulted in a 48-0 loss.
Ooh.
So they have played two games in 1971, and they have scored exactly 0 points. Wow.
How did they ever survive?
I don't know. I do not know.
And how did the fans ever survive?
Their overall winning percentage, history-wise, at that point was .407. So they had won 40% of every game they played at that point. Victory number 108.
Yeah.
Oh, it occurred in my senior year of high school, 1981, against the Frisco
Raccoons.
The Fighting Raccoons.
Game 1 of 1981. In their 211th game, the Allen Eagles won their 108th game, beating Frisco in the opening game of the season 14-2. They gave up a safety. Frisco. It's hard to imagine Allen playing those teams now.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Now, I mean, Frisco's boomed now, obviously, but it's amazing how Allen boomed because they were playing each other at that point.
Yeah.
Allen did the boom. Took Frisco 10 years later to get to that same point. But anyhow.
Yeah.
There's victory 108, 14-2 over the Frisco Raccoons. Who won big last night over Frisco Centennial.
He did.
Yes. So there's your history lesson for the day, folks. You're all caught up. Those of you who were around back then can reminisce.
1971.
Yep. That was 1981. The first one was 71. The loss was 71.
Yeah.
So Allen travels a couple miles north last night.
To the Crown Jewel of Texas
Jewel.
High School football stadiums.
Yeah. Whatever that means.
Just another crack house.
We say that every year, and we just wonder why they say that. Because they host the Division II football championship.
Well,
and the UIL soccer championships now.
But
we hosted that one year, and then it's been up there in McKinney ever since then.
Well, and you know why? Because our stadium's too big for the attendance.
Right.
That's true. I went to that game, and it was like there was hardly anybody in that stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so TV doesn't want the stands looking empty.
No.
So they go from 18,000
Pack them together.
12,000.
Is it 12,000? I thought it was more like 10. Yes, 12.
It's 12.
Yes, 12.
Because the new stadium up in Melissa, is 10.
Is 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
A little smaller version.
So there you have it. Allen travels to McKinney, takes on a McKinney Boyd team.
That
you don't
they
know
fielded like 53 players. It's kind of a small numbers, small size.
And you don't know what to... I didn't know what to expect because over the last couple of years when Joe McBride was there, you started to see a little better.
Right.
A little better, a little tougher.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Seems to me that it was, Allen would still beat them, but the games weren't the games like last night, for example. Right. And you would have thought, okay, they've instilled something here that maybe we'll carry over to the next coach and see what happens. And they were 1-2 on the year. They had lost to Temple, and they lost to Byron Nelson, who was actually y'all
Coming
were
on.
watching. Byron Nelson, you watch that team. That team is undefeated and is beating everybody pretty handily. That's somebody to watch.
Well, they went deep last year
Yeah.
in the playoffs.
And then last week they beat a Plano West team in overtime on a game that was, postponed, whatever, Friday night. They came back on Saturday and finished it and won in overtime. So they were 1-2 on the year. Had given up a lot of points, but you still just don't know what to expect. And man, oh man, if this wasn't like flashback to 2012, 13, 14, 15 Allen, where
They just had their way. It was
unbelievable.
the defense, especially. I mean, the offensive line for McKinney Boyd was just non-existent. We'll show you that one breakthrough that they tackled, big tackle for a loss, and
there were a lot of those last night.
Specifically, remember that Lake Highlands playoff game where Lake Highlands scores the first touchdown.
Yep.
And that was our 2013 team, I believe
Yeah.
it was. And then we just rolled off 63 points right after that, nonstop.
Was that at Wildcat Stadium?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And they were partying across the street.
was that
and
the Boneyard? They call it the Boneyard? Or was that, let's see, what is it?
Yeah, I remember
The
something.
Woodshed.
No, that's Hebron.
That's Hebron.
Hebron. Okay, so it's the
It might have
Boneyard.
been the Boneyard.
Yeah, I think it's the Boneyard.
So it was a 63-7 shellacking, and I'll just say that because
They got lucky to score that one touchdown. That was against a bunch of backups. We may have had
halfway
one
through
starter.
the fourth quarter.
with two 15-yard penalties on that. One which was on a third down play that gave them a first down, and the other wasn't. But they got 30 yards out of there.
Well, just like the Allen football team, I hold them dear to my heart, and Allen was doing a lot of holding last night also. So.
Yeah, we've got some stuff to talk to Coach about, and
there were some personnel swapping in and out and stuff, and part
It
of that
was
may have
good,
been
though.
because of that.
Those kids were
Lots
really
of
excited.
experience.
I mean, they were enjoying it. They were jumping up and down after tackles, and
Yeah, toward the end of the game,
Yeah.
95 Joshua Shue, boy, he had a great sack
Yeah.
on the quarterback. It's just nice to see him.
yeah, it was. And they got excited,
Pursuing.
and piling on, and getting those penalties.
Getting penalties, yeah.
that wasn't Levi.
No,
95?
that was not Mr. Onzurike.
Oh, I guess he's playing in the NFL now. I guess he doesn't have any eligibility left. But every time I see that number, that's all I can think of is Levi.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow. So, 63-7. It's amazing. We'll talk to Coach Wig here in a second about, his take on it. We've got a couple other things to talk to him about that if you stayed late last night, you might have seen.
Oh, there were some throwback moves that we saw out of him. And just the overall, I guess we can do an overall sense for the game. You look at the team, and you're looking for individual improvement, not versus something necessarily outside of them, but had they improved from what they were doing and what they were capable of doing and what they struggled with previously.
Absolutely.
Definitely saw it. Definitely saw it, on the part of the QB, and the defense. They seem to be playing more coordinated, more synchronized, really stretched the Boyd offense. It probably wasn't as hard to do as like stretching the DeSoto offense, but they did a really good job. They saw what it looks like. They felt what it feels like, and I think that translates.
I guess coaches made the call somewhere in the third quarter where they just started letting the play clock run down, not to give the ball over to us anymore because it was they just couldn't stop us.
Yeah.
Oh, Boyd, yeah.
It could have been in the 70s, easy.
Yeah, it was not pretty by any stretch of the imagination on the Boyd part, and they're going to struggle this year. After seeing that team, I don't know.
When you're fielding only about 50 plus or minus a few players, and it's and we got to acknowledge the elephant in the room. We're kind of the elephant. We dominate the room, so with the size of our attendance and participation.
Yeah,
so.
without a doubt. It's
Even when we're down, we've got an advantage.
It's going to be tough for them, and they've got McKinney next week.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be.
In a rivalry game, and maybe that'll help them some. I don't know. McKinney's very talented too, but they've got some work to do at Boyd on their football program. And I was hoping, after seeing what they've done the last couple of years, that trend would continue, that they were going to be better. But it just...
they're a baseball school.
Yeah, it might be. Volleyball, for sure. I think their volleyball team is ranked first in the area. Yeah, they've had one loss, and I think it was to Allen. So
wow.
There you go. Again, as we mentioned, total domination on this one. 461 total yards for the Eagles, 128. Mm-hmm. And they had 34 at halftime.
Yeah.
I was keeping personal stats at that point, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And Allen racked up 214 yards of offense in the first quarter. And raced out to a 21-0 lead, which kind of led to everything else. I'm not saying they took their foot off the gas pedal at all, but It seemed like it did dial back a little bit, especially after halftime. But there wasn't anything pleasant about that from the Boyd perspective. They couldn't get any. They had one long pass play. Their longest run of the night was like 12 yards.
Well, let's face it. It was homecoming for them, and they had the various different homecoming courts and stuff. But they were just aching to celebrate stuff. So all of their 5 first downs they celebrated.
Well,
and when section went wild.
And when they finally scored that touchdown, it was the Super Bowl, and great for the student section over there. I mean, they really screamed and yelled and stuff, and
they stayed.
Yeah, they stayed.
That's
key point.
That's the thing I was impressed with, was they did not leave.
Yeah,
they were there the whole game, and it was they could have left after the first quarter and been saying, "I've seen enough," but they stayed the whole game, and kudos to those kids for doing that. 186 yards passing for the Allen team last night, 80 for Boyd, about half of which came on one play. 275 yards rushing for the Eagles. Averaged 7, almost 8 yards a carry. Boyd, on the other hand, had 48 yards rushing. Averaged 1.23 yards per carry. And I don't have the stat, but it'd be interesting to see how many tackles for loss there were last night. They had a lot of negative plays.
Yeah.
Obviously in that number. But
what was it? Tank almost took the handoff from the quarterback that one time because he was back there in a hurry.
Yeah. And not that everything was, puppies and roses and perfume for the Eagles. You had 2 interceptions. Bricker underthrew on 2 passes.
Yeah.
And again, you'll coach that up, and maybe you don't make those throws against better competition.
Right.
But that was kind of second half stuff that he did. But 10 penalties.
Yeah.
A lot of holding calls last night. And I was kind of joking to myself this morning. I was thinking about it. I was like, well, no wonder Boyd didn't get any holding calls, because we were in the backfield so much. They didn't have anything to grab onto.
It's true.
It's like, you can't hold something that you can't see that's flying right by you.
Can't catch,
they obviously did not hold, because it was ugly. But,
that poor quarterback.
Yeah.
He had to hurt after that game.
Yeah. Bless his heart. It is time to call Coach Wig. Let's see what his pulse is this morning, if he takes our call.
He's going to take today.
Maybe. We'll see.
Hello?
Good
Morning,
morning,
Coach.
Coach.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Man, we are doing fantastic this morning. We've already had a phone call with our buddy Chris Cumnott, and Chris, and you know what a huge Alabama fan he is. And we just have to ask. We wanted to check on him because we had heard from him all week. Made sure he was okay. So he's doing all right.
Was he okay?
He appears to be. He said his last quote was, "That's okay. We're going to run the table and win the whole thing." So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see about that.
They better get better at the quarterback position.
Well, and like you said, they're making a change today over there. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Hey, congrats on a big win last night.
Thank you. It was good to start off district with a win for sure.
Yep.
Gonna ride that wave, huh?
Do what?
You ride that wave. It was kind of like, was it like that in college where you're like surfing the crowd?
Yeah.
For those of you who missed it, we'll get this out of the way. We stayed and just watched things at the end of the game, and you had the team go down and, do the alma mater and then the fight song, and then James and I were standing there, and I was like, look down there. And he goes, what? I said, Wig's down there crowd surfing. I said, what is going on? And we didn't have the camera up, so we don't have video of it.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened.
Well, they didn't drop you on your head, did they? I saw him losing control there.
No, but that's all I was thinking.
Oh, I bet.
Well, we saw your wife walking out last night, and we told her because she didn't see it either, and she goes, he's too old for that.
That's true.
So they just kind of grabbed you, and that just happened?
Yeah, we were just, their band was about to play, so we were just saying, get up, we're going to, exit here, stay off the white line, make sure you're out of their space. And,
right.
And then I don't really know at that point. I really don't know how that happened.
It's one of those moments. It was pretty cool. We thought it was fun.
Yeah, the kids were excited for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you ran into a team last night that we've been talking this morning a little bit, how we had seen over the past couple of years with Joe McBride at Boyd, how they had, kind of turned it. If nothing else, they'd gotten tougher.
Yeah.
And were really stingier. You might still win and you might still beat them, but it wasn't like it was. So we really didn't know what to expect. But, I think there's a combination of, and you can tell us this, if Allen has found some things the last couple of weeks, and to get better, and then you ran into a team that maybe is short on talent last night. But what's your take on what happened?
Well, I hope that we're getting better. I mean, we're improving. I feel like we're getting better in a lot of places. There's some things I thought we did pretty poorly last night, but I think we're getting better. And I don't know. I watch them live, I watch them on film, I see them in front of us, and they have some good-looking kids. I think they some of them have a little chip on their shoulder, so you feel like they have a little nastiness and toughness. But then there's times throughout that game that didn't seem real tough, And to be honest, I don't know. It was a little disappointing. I thought that there would be a better fight out of them than that. And again, maybe we just played at a much higher level than I was thinking, but it wasn't. I don't know. I kind of expected a little bit more out of them.
Yeah, as we did too. You mentioned that, and again, there's so much in this game. It was very reminiscent to us of years gone by where 3-play drive, 4-play drive, 5-play drives, and you look up and you're up by 21 or 28 points in a heartbeat. And that was very impressive to watch last night. And I don't care who the competition is. If you're doing that, you're doing things right. So the execution, at least very much in the first half, was, from our point of view, again, I know you look at it differently than we do, was really on point.
Well, there was phenomenal effort for sure, and that hasn't changed. That's been the same from day one, and that remained, through the entire game last night. There was a bunch of plays that we really fit stuff out well, that looked nice throughout. There's a few things that we didn't execute like we were supposed to. Some of those still maybe we got lucky and were able to make a play off of, and some of them we didn't because of a bust here or there. Most of those busts just being assignment or read bust. But what was impressive was the effort, and then the times. And when I say times, I'm not saying there was just a few. I mean, there was a lot of times that we, that he let. I love offensive football. I love the game of football, but I love offensive football because I love when 11 people do right with phenomenal effort. And that happened a number of plays last night, which was nice, because when you do that, it's just you have a chance for explosive plays, and if they're not explosive, you're going to have 7 or 8 yards, knowing that you were a shoestring away from being explosive, and next time you come back to it, it's probably going to sort itself out that way. So it was fun to see that. Again, I'm just happy. I'm happy for the guys. It's what we talked about it, and again talked about through DeSoto, through a game last night, is we don't ever, or I don't ever want us to, and our players do this, but it frustrates me, is I don't ever really want us thinking about who we're playing, right? I want the mindset of we go out on the field and do what we're supposed to do. It doesn't matter who we're playing, and sometimes we start looking, and you'll hear the guy say, oh, so-and-so is a 4-star, so-and-so is this. I'm like, why are we even looking at that? Let's go out and do what we do. Let's go, and it doesn't matter if you're, if you think he's terrible. It doesn't matter, because what matters is you're coached to do something and do it at an incredibly high level, rep after rep after rep, and it's going to take care of itself no matter who that is. We're gonna have a chance to beat anyone at any time if we're doing that. But there were some times last night I thought that mindset was improving, but then there was just some times last night that we didn't execute at a high level there that was disappointing, just because had this team played probably harder, then those would have shown their face in different ways.
Yeah, and
I'm saying our opponent play harder.
Sure. Well, and it's nice from the offensive side, and you mentioned you being an offensive guy, but with the offensive penalties and kind of the hiccups that we had on there, it's almost good that we weren't in a tighter game, because it wasn't quite as consequential. So you get the opportunity, I don't know, maybe I'm just trying to make some sense out of this. You get the opportunity to coach them up on those mistakes without having it hurt you or hurt you too much.
Yeah, and I say, when you say hurt you with end result to a final result, but yeah, no, those were, and I mean, just you'll never again. Our guys, we better never hear a player. You better never hear a coach talking about officials. Just we don't use that as a crutch. And I wouldn't be saying this. It wasn't not a game that we won by 40 or 50 points, whatever it was. But as a general statement, when there's that many holding calls, it's probably a crew that we won't have back again. Just you can call holding every play, every play in the game of football, and you if you're going to be a crew like that, you should. Because you're going to look that hard. But really, we had a number of offensive holding penalties that went through the film last night and gone through it twice already this morning now, and they're just phenomenal effort blocks. They're definitely, you can make a case of calling each of them, each that occurred. But I make that argument that you could do that on any play level, especially when you're out on the perimeter and out in space like we're going to want to do throughout the game. But you don't see those penalties if your receivers and if your downfield blocking is not giving phenomenal effort, because you're simply not making contact and trying to maintain the block. So penalties are easy tweaks. I'm not even going to say fixes, because I don't want to fix what was taking place, just a slight tweak to finish it off to where it's not called a hold. But the effort, if you go in and watch what they're calling, you're going to say, man, the receiver driving a guy 20 yards downfield and then just not letting go at the right time, and you're like, okay, we can back that up and we'll do it again. So,
good point.
Well, and you're 4 games in the season now, and I thought about this question yesterday or last night during the game, and I wanted to ask you, what are some areas, just 1 or 2 on each side of the ball, I guess, or just however you want to answer this, that you've seen a lot of improvement in, and then what are some areas at this point that you think that you really need the team to work on going forward?
Just improvement is just really the toughness, and the toughness wanting to be tough every play and not just be right. Not just go to the right spot or be in the right spot, but in the right spot, someone's going to be the hammer and someone's going to be the nail on every play, and having that mentality that's going to be us. We're going to be the hammer every single play, every single person on the field. And it's not, I'm not saying you're just going to go aimlessly hit somebody, but I'm saying it's the mentality at which we do our job. We're right with the mentality. That's improving. And it's hard for a young team, when you have so many young guys out there, because, just the reality is they don't know. They question. Unless you're if you're a sophomore that's just a dude beyond dudes, you may not, but every other sophomore on the planet, when you're playing the teams that we play, you're going to go out there and there's going to be some level of doubt in your mind, possibly, of, am I physically tough enough to do this? You're obviously not going to verbalize that. You're not going to want it to be seen, but it's somewhere in your mind. Can I go strong back, or can I, take on the block of this big pulling lineman? Those thoughts are going to exist in your mind, and just we're starting to get over that. We're starting to, whether it's a senior offensive lineman that hasn't played much, he's starting to realize that it's okay to finish block with the mentality, and just so that is probably the biggest. The second is probably just, I think early on we had a lot of guys, some of our guys that have experience were probably trying to do too much, and maybe even because they knew that we were incredibly green in some areas and felt like they were going to have to do more. They knew that that's not how it works. They knew that that's not how they're coached, but probably in the back of their mind feeling like, hey, I've got to do more to help us win, or sometimes selfishly, I've got to do more just because I want to make sure I'm getting mine, type mentality. And I think that's improving on both sides of the ball as well. Yeah. Things we got to work on, which the first I'm going to say is improving, but still got to continue to improve open field tackling. We're getting better and working at it. Get tons of reps and seeing improvement throughout practice and in the game, but still have to continue to improve that, because this very next week, who we're going to play, that's going to come into play. There are just a couple of things of who we are that I wasn't overly excited about last night, and has to improve dramatically. First is decision making. We have to. Not to point to any position, but just across the board, we have to make sure we're, so much of our offense is tied to decision making. So, we say be right. Well, an offensive lineman is blocking the right guy. We have a lot of decision making that goes in before the be right can take place. So we've got to improve on that. And then another little thing is, we coach to score out of the back of the end zone, and we coach it for a number of things. The number one thing is the mentality for us is that, what we talk is the goal line for everyone on the planet is where they score. We score out of the back of the end zone just to prove to everybody that we go harder than them, we go longer than them, and that's who we are and how we live our life. But it's also for, a defensive player chasing you who's going to dive at the last second, and he grabs your shoulder pads, horse collars you, rolls you up, and tears your Achilles or ACL because you were letting up and he was playing hard. Or same scenario, you're getting loose with the ball and they're diving and knock the ball out right before you cross the goal line. Or you go Leon Lett on them and you're too cool for school and drop the ball before you score, right? So those are things that we talk, and it was we've got to get much better there, because that was disappointing last night. Right. The good news is you have a lot of clips to get to show that. So if you're getting to show a lot of clips of not finishing out the back of the end zone, that's a good thing. So we have 9 clips of some good and some bad. So that again, that's a good thing that we actually have 10 because one was called back. But those are things that we've got to improve on.
Well, that's interesting, and that'll be something that, now that you've told everybody, we'll be looking forward to see how that plays out.
Well, And to note on that, Coach, one of the things that I've even noticing from the kickoff coverage, when we're kicking it out of the end zone, and they had a propensity to just let it go or fair catch it, but when they're letting it go, I'm seeing your special teams, your kickoff crew, finish out the back of the end zone, finish into the end zone, and not just give up because they know it's a touchback.
And you weren't seeing that early on.
No.
At all. At all. And again, just the mentality is changing. The mentality, it's
Well, it becomes second nature that they don't have to think about. They just do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. And the only way you get to that point is reps, right? And that's the, again, when you have a lot of guys, whether we're talking kickoff team or whatever, a lot of guys that haven't been at this level before, you can talk it, you can work it, but it just takes reps to where it does become second nature. All these things we've discussed, but yeah.
Yeah, and just compliments also to what you guys are working on. I mean, Brady looked much improved over the past few weeks, and we love seeing the quarterback under center. That's something that we have not seen in Allen for years and years and years, and I think it's lost because when I was playing, that's just the way you did it. There was no shotgun. But,
that's right. Yeah, you went shotgun in 2-minute offense, maybe.
Yeah. Well, and then quickness of his passes. You guys were dialing up some of the trip sets, little bubble screen or whatever you want to term it. Very quick out of his hands, nice sharp passes. That's encouraging.
That was great.
No, he is, again, as I could say for all 90 guys that were on the field last night, but I just love, Brady's just working, so it means so much to him. He wants so much, so badly to be great for his teammates and to be great for this community, and he's working so hard and doing some wonderful things and getting better every day. And he'd be the first to tell you that he wasn't overly fired up about his play last night, and that's being very critical because he made some huge plays, and what he continues to do, and what I tell quarterbacks from day one is, we have certain things that I say you must do at a high level for me to feel like you played well, and you must do this at a high level for us to win the most meaningful games that we're going to play over the course of the year. With that being said, when a quarterback steps on the field, their job is to get their team in the end zone. Right, so while he probably is not overly fired up about his overall performance last night, he did a phenomenal job of getting his bomb team in the end zone a bunch, especially early.
Yeah.
And that's the I always tell the story to them, and they don't. Most of my stories, people just nod their head because they have no clue what I'm talking about. But I talk about Jim McMahon. Back when the Bears played, and Jim McMahon would wear gloves, right? And I remember that, I would see him throwing passes in the NFL level, and it's one of those fishing stories, but I tell them, I say, look, this guy won the Super Bowl. He's in a music video, Super Bowl shuffle as the coolest quarterback alive at the time, and he's throwing passes that are going end over end.
Yeah.
And I said, but they'd be caught. So, saying it's not about what it looks like, it's just about getting the job done, and Brady did such a phenomenal job of last night is when he stepped onto the field as the quarterback of the team, he got the team in the end zone. So things that he knows and that we've got to improve on dramatically, but bottom line is get them in the end zone, and we'll sort that stuff out later.
Yep. Well, a good start to District 1-0. You bring in Braswell next week, and the roll continues. So now we got to get to the fun part of the day. Coach, you're 1-5 on the year. You took a hit with A&M and Alabama last week. You did win the Oklahoma State-Arizona State game.
Yeah.
There are no games today between top 25 teams, so I could have picked some really random, directional schools playing each other, but I didn't. I tried to find something at least worthwhile. Tennessee is headed into the swamp to play Florida.
Yeah. You said who?
Tennessee's going to.
Tennessee is not ranked?
No, they're not. Well, no, there's no. They're ranked, but there's no.
Yeah, ranked versus ranked.
Yeah.
Well, I'm taking Tennessee in that game.
Okay, very good. Yeah. I picked this one because there's some Allen alum playing at Missouri, and Theo Weiss and Mr. Jernigan up there. K-State is at Missouri. Both teams are 2-0.
Yeah. That's funny. Theo was here this summer, and I had a chance to meet him and visit with him quite a while, and he was telling me how good that he felt like they were going to be this year, and he felt like they were really floating under the radar. And it was the first time I've been around him, fell in love with him immediately.
He's one of our faves, yeah.
Yeah, he seemed like such a cool guy. And then and Jernigan went from Oklahoma State, right?
Yep.
And so, yeah. I mean, this is one of this. So, when I'm saying you're saying I'm 1-5. If we go back though and
throw him a bone.
My comments really lean towards the team that I didn't pick. And for some reason I confused myself, and it could be one of those, but I'm going with K-State in spite of those things that I just said, just because I think that K-State ultimately is a tougher football team.
Okay. Hey, were you a swimmer in college? Because you were doing a lot of backstroke right there.
Yeah, no. But,
all right. This one may be a softball, but there's just so much going on in the world around Deion now. In Colorado and Colorado State's been an interesting little tussle this week, a war of words, and game day's there today in Colorado versus Colorado State.
Yeah, it makes a lot of people in the world mad that I would even say I actually hope that Colorado State wins. The talent level I think is just so drastically different. I'm afraid that Colorado will beat them pretty bad. But what I respect about Colorado State, is I don't remember exactly. I don't get to watch that stuff or pay attention that much. But I felt like there was something that Norvell, their coach, said something like, look, they're gonna try to create bulletin board material. They're gonna try to create a story out of this no matter what. So basically, we're just gonna come out and tell it like it is. And essentially, what I took from that is, look, we're not gonna be intimidated by this team. Yes, they're probably better than us, but we're not gonna be intimidated. Let's go ahead and toe the line and let's go play ball. And it will be a lot closer game than most of us think. But I don't see how they can beat Colorado.
Yeah,
I'm going Colorado.
Well, that's probably a safe choice, and I wanted to give you one. I was going to give you Tech and Tarleton, but that was way too much.
That's way too much.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, because I put you on the spot there because no matter who Tech's playing, you'll probably pick them anyway. So
yeah, I know.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time. Congrats again on district win number 1, and let's keep it rolling next week against Bradwell.
Yeah, thank you. You guys have a great weekend.
You too, buddy. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Goodbye.
There he is, Lee Wigginton.
Good insights and good perspectives.
Yeah.
It's nice to see the way they look at it.
He's given us more time than we allocated, and we appreciate that. That's 2 weeks in a row he's done that. We can run through the game because
we can run through it quickly. I mean, I've got certain of the highlight plays that we've got highlighted, but there's some big ones.
First, let's go back because we've meant to be doing this all year. We've just forgotten because we're scatterbrains. But we're picking an offensive and defensive BEBC player of the game. And this week on the offensive side, we decided to go with Amir McDowell.
Yeah, a lot of choices. Number 28, Amir McDowell.
Rushed for 108 yards.
Damn. 4 TDs.
Hard rushing.
13 carries, 4 touchdowns. This is 2 games in a row that he's had a pretty lengthy touchdown run.
Yeah.
Kick and scoot when he gets an open field, and had a
that first one, the 42-yarder. Cue the highlight right here. That was good.
Oh yeah.
Some speed on the team.
There is. Caleb got free a bunch last night, and on the defensive side, we kind of there was a lot of choices last night.
Yeah.
But Coach was talking about toughness, and having an edge, and I think you saw that with Zena and Tank last night.
Yeah.
And Mr. Johnson up on that front. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Tank especially, he just seemed possessed last night. And if y'all didn't see him take out the up back on the one punt, and I know you probably didn't.
Yeah, I could pull that highlight, but there's enough other highlights of him.
Those guys just dominated. Again, Boyd ended up with 48 yards rushing, and those 3 guys were really a big part of that. So Allen gets the ball first last night. Ends up, as we said, with a 42-yard touchdown run from Amir McDowell. Again, 6 plays. It didn't take long. Went 73 yards, 6 plays. And then the theme of the night starts. Boyd gets the ball, and it wasn't a 3-and-out. They held the ball for 9 plays, but ended up punting.
The punt fest last night.
Yeah.
How many punts did they have?
That didn't print out.
It was a lot.
Well, we can count them here in a minute. That's
Well, I think it was that first series that that Tank ended up having his huge tackle for a loss. At first, with the way our defensive line came through, I thought it was going to be a screen. I thought they were letting them through on purpose.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, jeez.
on one
not.
of those punts, the center, I don't know if it was a mistake by the center or
he hits the up
he hits
blockers.
the up blockers with the ball. I don't know if he just misdirected it or they were going to
And
try
it's sitting there in front of him, and our
fake-
guy jumps on it.
a fake, and which at that point was just too little, too late.
Yeah. I think we've got that one also. It's in there.
They had
fumble
8
recovery.
punts last night.
Oh, it seemed like it was more than that.
Yeah. Allen goes up 7-0. Kenny Boyd punts. Allen actually punts it. I'm sorry. The next series they go 14 plays, 75 yards. They score on a Brady Bricker pass to Donnell G.
Yep. A little 40-yard TD pass there.
Yeah.
That was a nice one too.
Where
Enter
he
that highlight.
rolled to the right and he waited, and Donnell
Sideline.
finally broke.
Yeah.
And they're up 14-0. Boyd gets the ball back, runs 7 plays and punts. Allen goes 69 yards in 5 plays. Amir finishes that one off with a 13-yard touchdown run. That series included a 41-yard pass from Bricker to Caleb Smith.
Yeah.
You're starting to see Jet get a few more touches.
Mm-hmm.
They tried the first play of the game. They tried to run a jet sweep with him. No pun intended. He goes by Jet, but which went for a loss. But you're starting to see him become a bigger part of the offense. Like you talked about speed, David. He's probably, there's a lot of speed on that team. He might be the fastest kid on the team. He is returning kicks. He's returning punts, and he started to play an integral part of the offense. Boyd gets the ball back, runs 6 plays, goes -2 yards. Allen gets the ball, goes 8 plays, 65 yards.
Yeah, Jackson Lyons punches it in with a 7-yard TD run toward the end there. That was nice to see a little variety.
Sophomore Jackson Lyons.
There you go, sophomore. Love our sophomores.
Kenny gets the ball back, runs 5 plays, goes 5 yards and punts. Allen punts for the first time. Again, penalties on that drive. They had 2 holding penalties back to back. One on a first down play that they ran and it brought it back. The coach was talking about blocking on the edge. That's where that one occurred, and it was on Jet. Of all people, he's like, really?
Well, and I don't know if we're in that spot, for that particular play. But you'd mentioned the punt and where the long snapper ends up hitting the up blockers, and we've got that little play. But that was fumble recovery on that.
I mean, it's almost like there was 3 across, and they didn't leave any room for the ball to go through. And
he snaps it right in the guy's chest. It was,
and so we ended up getting the ball, and we drove down. Well, then Brady and does a little whoop-de-doo with the snap near the end zone. and Amir recovers it, bounces off his hands. Amir catches it out of the air and boom.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Come on, Eagles.
So cue that highlight too. We've got them all.
That score makes it 35-0.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, Boyd gets the ball back, punts. Yeah. Next series, Brady throws his second interception. And Coach talked about that. Overall, I think he was pleased with the play, but he talked about, making improvements. And both those passes were underthrown. Yeah. I mean, that's all you can say about it.
And whether there wasn't enough hype on it.
Yeah, didn't give his guy a chance.
Yeah, and whether you say, okay, it was a late decision on his part, and so he wasn't able to get the full, oomph into it. I know he's certainly capable of making those throws. It's going to be tight, and that's where you've got to trust your receivers, Q and all those guys to go up and get it.
Let them run under it. Just launch it out,
like he did the week
there.
before. The long pass to Messiah the week before. He let him. He was out. He was able to go get it, and he just underthrew him both.
Yeah.
He was intercepted. Doesn't matter. I say it didn't matter. It matters.
Well, and we've got the highlight if you want, or the low light. If you want to show it, show it. If not, that's fine.
Boyd runs, 3 and out. Allen gets the ball back, and they go 4 plays, 51 yards. Bricker accounts for 32 of those on rushes, and then Amir scores his 4th touchdown of the night to make it, 42-0. Boyd, and I know we have this highlight, gets the ball back, runs 5 plays. They try to run a screen.
Yeah.
And the quarterback's just backing up. And when he throws it, he overthrows his receiver. And the guy, it was a real tall guy, and he almost got it. But it's picked off by somebody who I've been watching since spring ball. Yep. And I've met this player's dad, nice guy.
Number 50.
Japri Wafer. And if you watch him on kickoff returns, the kid can play. He's a linebacker.
Yeah.
He intercepts the ball, and he turns into
Big
Barry
run
Sanders.
Back. Big run back, man. Yeah, rumbling, stumbling.
He was excited. The team was excited.
Wasn't that great?
He came so close to making that touchdown, and they wanted it. But they lifted him up in unison and carried him off the field almost.
That was one of the moments, just like in the 4th quarter when a lot of players got in their play. They were excited. They were jumping up and down, making plays, hitting people, and got a little overzealous sometimes. But, hey, that was great. Yep. I could live with that.
Yeah. He returned it 54 yards down to the 11-yard line.
Awesome.
And love the kid, and he's got a big future here. That kid can play.
Yeah.
Next play, Mekhi Ellis takes it on a tough run. He gets hit at like the 5-yard line and drags people into the end zone. It's 49-0. McKinney gets the ball back. And they have a penalty for 5 yards. They rush for -6. They rush for -3, which it's just what happens. And then they get another penalty, and they punt. Allen gets the ball back, takes 3 plays, 36 yards. And I'm going to pat myself on the back here.
Yay.
This is when Brett Holloway got in the game. And I said, guys, he's going to run because this kid can run. And sure enough, on the second play from scrimmage, He scrambles. Takes it around the left side, and he goes 31 yards down to the 3. The next play, Jackson Lyons gets his second touchdown of the night, 3 yards, and now it's 56-0.
Yeah, at this point, we've all missed our little forecast on what the score was going to be.
Yeah, badly.
Real bad.
I think I was 45-14, but whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't even close.
No.
4th quarter rolls around. Boyd finally does get on the board. They go on a 16-play, 75-yard drive. Takes up 7 minutes of the quarter.
Yeah. Penalty aided.
Yeah, but, it was awful. Penalty. We had a late hit penalty. We had 2 late hit penalties actually on that. They finally score on a 14-yard run. It's 56-7. Allen gets the ball back, goes 9 plays, 61 yards, and Brett Holloway gets his second touchdown of the night.
Way to go, Brett. Insert highlight here.
Good job. 4-yard run, and that's the final 63-7. it was good to see. Like he said, they dressed. He said 90 kids. I heard him say on the call.
Nice. Yeah.
And I think most of them, if they weren't hurt, got to play last night, which is
Absolutely.
good. Build that depth.
Exactly.
And just experience of going through it and having some success with it.
Yep.
Well, and back in the days, I mean, 12, 13, 14, where, we're way up. Everybody's getting into the games. They get that experience. Yeah. They're more prepared when they have to go into play.
Right.
And that's a sign of a growing team.
Yep. And that was fun to watch last night. You felt good for the team. You felt good for the players. You felt good for the coaches. It seemed like everything came full circle and worked. Last night, even with the few hiccups that they had, they were able to overcome the mistakes. They didn't hurt them, and they win 63-7 to go 1-0 in district. In district play last night, Prosper beat Geyer.
In a hard fought battle.
What was
it 31 to 28?
28, yeah. 31-28. McKinney beat Little Elm 51-10.
Yeah.
And then Braswell beat Prosper Rock Hill. I don't have that score in front of me.
Yeah. Well, now Rock Hill is a
Got it.
They're a short program right now, right? They don't have seniors this year.
Rock Hill, this is their second or third year? Second year?
Second year, I think. Yeah.
So they may not have many.
Yeah, and I think they gave the seniors at Prosper an option to stay out, their playing time, even if they were in Rock Hill's attendance zone. So
34-14 was that final. So next week you have Braswell, as you heard Coach mention. Tackling is going to be important. Braswell coming to Allen. McKinney Boyd plays McKinney, and I don't know who's off next week on the rest of those. I didn't look at the schedule. So you have McKinney, Allen, Prosper, and Braswell sitting at the top of the district at 1-0. So those are the teams that are having fun. Next week, is it homecoming next week?
Ooh, I don't know. Good
It
question.
must be. I don't know.
If only we had devices with the internet.
Yeah, if we only had the internet here on the Far East Side, we could figure that out. Something tells me it is, but
Yes, it is.
It's homecoming next week.
Awesome.
We may or may not have a podcast next week. If we do have one, it will come late. I'm going to be actually out of town over the weekend, and so we won't be able to get together.
Maybe we just need to let me do highlights. I'll throw the highlights. We'll put them up there and just let those speak for themselves.
We can do
see
that.
What happens.
That would be
that way. You don't have to worry about it too much. Just I can either send it to you and we'll upload it. But hey, that's a plan, folks.
Yeah,
we're trying to
help y'all out.
Yeah,
but I'm going to be out of town, and we'll have to go from there. Appreciate y'all listening, and feel free to add
else
comments.
We want to say?
Hook 'em! What a great win by Texas last week, boy.
Get your guns up. Tarleton's going to be a tough opponent, but
Yeah, and
we
it's
can do
interesting.
it.
Tarleton comes in 2-0. Tech
Yeah.
is 0-2.
Yeah.
Would have you thought that when the season started?
Not on the surface, no, but
You thought Tech might have been 1-1.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Is that
I
Tech?
definitely thought the Wyoming
Lubbock?
would have been a win, but
Yeah. We'll see. Wyoming gets the horns tonight, so let's see. That'll be a good gauge for
are they
them.
getting the business into Bevo?
They might be. That's a really good team. I'll tell you
Yeah,
what.
it is.
It'll be fun.
Deep.
It'll be fun. So, folks, we appreciate you listening. Again, we're here every week, except for next week. If you have any comments, leave them below. Subscribe if you'd like. And until next time, it's over, and we are out.
Eagles.